effective dose is different from equivalent dose. Effective dose means that the raw absorbed dose in grays is modified by tissue weighting factors, TWF, which basically reduce dose, which is concentrated in various organs. And then you add up all the doses in the organs to get a total effective dose. Now, right away, this is all complicated, and the assumptions used for these tissue weighting factors are nowhere very well expressed. The key thing for us all to keep in mind is that effective doses are used for medical purposes. They're used for external radiation only. And they're basically used to help oncologists deliver doses to tumors which may be near various organs. And that's what it's all about. This is the medical establishment getting in on the act and basically modifying absorbed dose to suit their purposes for calculating doses to organs. And that the doses in sieverts are then called, it's called effective dose. Now, for environmentalists, like the majority of us, this is not necessary. It's basically, it's an unwarranted complication. And my best guidance to you to say to people, don't worry about it too much. Talk about equivalent dose. In other words, you take the absorbed dose and you multiply it by, say, 20 to get an alpha, or 1 to get a beta or gamma. Talk about that. But effective dose, it's for the medical people. And they can wither away and talk about it as much as they want. I don't have much faith in it. As I say, the tissue weighting factors involved are, well, they're not worth the paper they're written on, in my view.
But Ian, what about internal? Like we were talking about tritium recently.
Yeah.
So how do you take apart the internal?
That's not used for effective dose. It's not. And as far as I'm pretty sure about this, but when it comes to radionuclides which are inhaled or ingested, a different set of factors, a different way of estimating doses used, which doesn't use effective doses. I'll repeat that. When it comes to estimating what the doses are from inhaled or ingested radionuclides, the tissue weighting factors aren't used. What they do is they whole body doses are used by and large. For example, for tritium, it's distributed throughout the body, and it's not really concentrated in any specific organs at all. So what they do is they calculate the whole body dose. And whole body dose, then, well, you don't have to have tissue weighting factors. You don't have to have organ doses. So that's, well, what I'm saying is I would recommend that we don't spend a lot of time on looking at effective dose.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, I mean,
yeah, that's good.
I mean, other people can take it. By the way, other people can take different views on this, and I'm quite willing to have discussions about it. But in all of my discussions, I've tended to talk about internal radiation and leave effective dose to one side. Now, there's one more thing I want to mention. When it comes, this comes from tritium too. people will say to me, how do we get a handle on how dangerous tritium is when we've swallowed it or when we've ingested it or breathed it in? It's very difficult. The best way of describing the hazard is from tritium's relative biological effectiveness. It's RBE. Because what that does is that applies to the whole body. And so we can say that if you would say that the RBE for tritium is 2 or 3, by the way, back in 1996, US EPA in a draft report recommended that the RBE for tritium should be 2.5, not 1, 2.5. By the way, that draft disappeared without trace. I wonder why. Anyway, so to get a handle on tritium, the best way is to apply a weighting factor, a relative weighting factor, RBE, of about 2.5 to 3. I use 3 because when you say 2.5, that's 2 significant figures. And the uncertainties here, and it's better to err on the side of caution and use 3. I wrote a paper in 2007 called The RBE for Tritium, which is published in the journal. It's one of the ones I've listed in my slideshow that I've just shown you. And that comes out and recommends that we use an RBE of 3. So that means that when you try and estimate how dangerous tritium is, right away, it's 3 times more dangerous than X-rays. 3 times more dangerous. And that is serious. Put it this way, the nuclear industry has fought tooth and nail to stop this, to stop a proper recognition of tritium's RBE. Why? Because if the RBE for tritium was 3, was accepted to be 3, the nuclear industry couldn't operate. Particularly the Canadian water reactors, heavy water reactors. There's so much tritium there that they would have to close them down. You can't have that, of course. So therefore, you have to have the RBE of 1. Big, powerful argument. Back in 2007, I think this was, there was a meeting of the European Commission's advisory group on radiation. It's called the Article 37 Group of Experts. That's the formal title of it. And they had a meeting in Brussels, and unfortunately it's not minuted, and had a big discussion about using tritium, because what radiation weighting factor to use for tritium. Big discussion, pro and con. Because the UK report from the AGIR, which I've also mentioned in the top of the list of publications, had recommended that we use them as a minimum 2, maximum 3. Well, the French nuclear industry experts just went completely ballistic at this. They said, no way we're going to have it. No. The Brits can do what they want, but we're not having a RBE for tritium of 2 or 3. Why? Because they would have to shut down their experimental construction of a fusion plant at Cadarache. The fusion plant was called ITER, ITER, which stands for International Thermonuclear Experimental Research, I think, something like that. And it puts out humongous amounts of tritium, really petabecquerels, exabecquerels, that's 10 to the 15th or 10 to the 18th becquerels in their experimental runs. And they realized that if tritium was suddenly to become 2 or 3 times more dangerous, they couldn't do it.
And of course,
they
there's
say-
not a single young mother in the room. And of
Nope.
course, the children of the region are the ones who
Nope.
take the
There
largest
was
hits.
not a single woman there. Absolutely. It was all males who made this decision. And so the meeting broke up, this Article 37 group of experts, without making any formal recommendation. But basically, the French nuclear scientists had blocked the whole thing. That's what happened. About 4 or 5 people afterwards came and told me this story. And it's shocking, it really is. And the European Commission should be ashamed of it. But the thing is that there was over 100 people in the meeting, and the whole issue was aired, and then people realized that the decision was made on political grounds, not on safety grounds, not on science grounds, but because they politically made the decision that they didn't give a damn about safety. They wanted their ITER reactor. They wanted to keep going. The boys wanted to play with their toys. That's exactly what happened. Anyway, that's a long story, but it's true.
Well, I'm going to cut it there, but thank you so much for
By the way,
going into this conversation.
Keep this recording, okay?
I am going to, absolutely. I'll share it with you when it's posted.
Okay, right.